During the NAIC, I hosted a bunch of friends to come together and play some Pokemon. I thought this would be a great chance to get some practice in for Yokohama whilst also watching a fantastic live stream across the weekend, and we thought what better way to challenge ourselves and have a bit of fun was going to be having a double elimination bracket running as the tournament was going on. So we pitted together what we thought were the 7 best decks at the time, as well as throwing in United Wings, which have been doing well on day 1 of the NAIC stream, to fight it out against each other for a mystery prize. Now, I will say that this was a party atmosphere. There probably are going to be some mistakes on some of these streams. We were also, watching the stream along, having a good time, and probably not putting our all into some of these games. So if there are going to be mistakes, I'm going to try and highlight them in commentary, but it's just going to be one of those things. This isn't necessarily the highest standard of play. It's just something we did for fun over the weekend. Cube Koga is always in the link in the description below, where I will be trying to have even more up-to-date lists than the ones possibly even played in these tournaments. So that's always the best place to check out our lists. Now let's get into some games. So we're here in round 1, and as you can see, I am playing in this one. I'm going to be playing Gardevoir for this, and we are up against Ben, who is playing the Lugia single strike archetype. He was able to go first, starts the Radiant Serena. I was lucky enough to start with Mew, and Ben is able to Nest Ball for the Lugia V. So it really doesn't need too much else going on in his opening turn. He's going to have a look through his some prize cards, see what's what. But ultimately, that's the checklist of Lugia for turn 1. Has Luminion for next turn and Lugia V-Star. So it's actually looking really good for next turn. Especially when you're up against a Guardi, you know that you're not going to get pathed very often here. Looks like I was holding on to a level ball in hand rather than improving my odds, per se, of using the level ball. I was seeing if I could hit VIP pass and maybe have a different route to search out Pokemon. So I think my hand's actually pretty slow. I think I want to keep this level ball for possible curlier draws on the next turn. We weren't quite fortunate enough to Mysterious Tail into a VIP pass. So we're going to Ultra Ball away Manaphy and Collapse Stadium to grab Radiant Greninja for a couple draws here to see if that can help us out. Try and find possibly a draw supporter from our concealed cards. Not too much help. I think just a few energy cards. I am just going to level ball out at this point another Ralts. And we're going to go for the Zacian for the Roar of the Sword, just to maybe give Ben a second thought about possibly something else to Gust into, or just to get some Psych Energy cycling around this board, because again, no supporter card, not much dig potential. My start's not great, so just want to get the Zacian developed as possibly an early threat for Ben, who goes for the pretty straightforward V-Star, Luminion for Burnett, and summon out the Archeops, so he is going to be guns blazing here in getting some Pokemon developed on the board. Also has Ultra Ball, so looks like he wants to fill up his board here. It's either going to be an Yveltal or a Tyranitar, I would think, at this stage. The T-Tar has upside of being able to deal with the Zacian that little bit easier, but the Yveltal is going to be Ben's choice, staying more single prizey, and it also opens up Collapse Stadium for him at any point now in the game to remove his fish and have a more single prize approach. But Ben's actually gone down to a 0-card hand here, but in doing so, we'll be able to attach Retreat his Serena and power up this Lugia and start using some Tempest Dives and get ahead in the race. Looks like trying by all costs to not put Double Turbo onto this Lugia, and again, that comes back to the Yveltal versus the T-Tar choice from Ultra Ball. I think if you get the T-Tar, you're allowed to Double Turbo here, but because he wants to knock out the Zacian cleanly on a future turn with this Lugia, he's actually spending 2 Gift Energies and 2 V-Guards, which are quite important resources, especially when your hand size is quite small. But we'll see. He has at least initiated the race, and my hand is not great right now. So we'll see if the pressure can come to fruition. We see a concealed cards here. First of all, getting rid of a Psych Energy. Another Ralts comes into play. We at least have a Curlier. But I think I'm still supportless. I don't think I have much else going on here. It's going to be a refinement away of Rare Candy. And I'm able to Reversal Energy the benched Curlier and just Iono. So I'm basically foregoing any attack here outside of, any random Rare Candy high roll into like a Zacian swing for 150 or something like that. Looks like I'm probably just gonna end up doing nothing this turn, outside of continue to develop this board. Looks like it's a couple of Fog Crystals for Ralts and Psych Energy. It's going to be another refinement. Another Ralts coming down. And it's going to be, yet again, a Roar of the Sword to get another Psychic put on. And I think I like putting on the active. It's very likely that Ben knocks out my active. But now that he's got a fresh hand from the Iono, it's quite likely that he could also boss his orders. And with the reversal energy on the bench, he may have wanted to knock out the other Curlier. So I think spreading those threats allows me to still knock out possibly the Lugia, even if Ben was able to roll into a boss's orders. So it feels weird to put another energy onto the active that could just go down, but it's getting it in circulation at the very least if Ben only does knock out the active, and it has upside of if Ben wants to chase the reversal energy Curlier. So a small thing there, but seems to make sense in the grand scheme of things. Ben is able to Iono us straight back after powering up the Yveltal with triple single strike energy, which is pretty terrifying. But it does mean that Ben didn't have access to boss, so we'll only be taking out a single prize Pokemon here at the very least. So there will be some avenues for us to get back into the mix here. 2 prize cards down for Gardy. It's kind of par for the course. That happens quite often, really. And you can see I'm counting up the amount of Psych Energy that we have available. 4 in the discard pile right now, 1 on the active. It possibly is that I just want to unlock this energy from the Zacian to make it easier for me to go for a Shining Arcana knockout here. I'd have to find a rare candy. 1's already in the discard pile. I'd also have to find Arcana Gardy. I only really have 1 more refinement to try and get there. I've already used concealed cards and refinement. So we might be in a little bit of trouble here if I'm not able to candy up and find the reversal combo for our Shining Arcana. Alright, so at least we have a couple more draws here from Arcana. Then we see refinements of the VIP. And we hit Ultra Balls, so if I have Candy in the mix, we could be okay here. Definitely spying the Ultra Ball, definitely spying Boss's Orders as well. I'm going to be Worker for 3 more cards. Does that get us any closer? Yeah, Rare Candy Gardy, so we have 3, 4, 5, 6 energy in the discard pile. If I retreat from the active, they can all go onto the Arcana Gardy. And with Reversal Energy, we should be able to take this knockouts with a single prizer. Yep, so 5 need to come on. That gets us to 300. Obviously, we don't have to worry about the V-Guard energy. So we are bouncing back here. Ben is able to get some gift energy value, just for 1 card by the looks of things, before going into their Yveltal. Now, I'm again pretty terrified of Boss's Orders. They didn't have it last turn, though. Although they did Iono, so they have a fresh hand at least. I really wouldn't like Ben chasing after the Gardevoir EX. They're on even prize cards, so I'm really terrified of Boss's Orders at this stage. That's the way where things get a little hairy. I don't see it in his hand, though. I see a couple research, a few urns, that sort of thing. So Ben just taking a single prize knockout keeps us kind of in the game here, because at least there's a Luminion in play for us to deal with, and if ever he wants to sort of proactively put down T-Tar or anything like that, we'd be in good shape. But I think Ben's hand is kind of clogged. He has urns and researches, and that's just a bad combination, which means he basically has to stick with what he's got and just take a knockout on the active position here. So we're going to go into Curlier. We have a Refinement. And it looks like I've got a massive hand at this stage. My priority is definitely going to be trying to Iono Ben down at this point whilst getting rid of all these single strike energies and try and make it difficult for them to reload the single strikes to sort of have some attackers available. I'm going to recycle, looks like a couple of Ralts and a Curlier. Then we're going to instantly search out a Ralts back on the board. Going to see the concealed cards for a couple more. We do see the Shining Arcana come down, so I'll be able to have a response to the Yveltal. I think the idea here is that I want to use my second reversal energy, because then I stay out of range of Archeops, stay out of Speedwing range. If I'm able to do that, it would force Ben to put down a multi-prize Pokemon. And he'd have to, you know, find urns and stuff to actually get any attack as a response into us. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. Going to Ultra Ball, find our next Ralts, and it is going to be an Iono. We have the knockout secured just with Guardi EX, but it's whether or not I can find that reversal energy, which would be a bit of help. Don't think I was able to, though. Have the Arcana as well. No help from that. Have an Ultra Ball and some junk in hand, but looks like I'm just going to load up the Guardi. Maybe a debate to loading up more energy in case Ben does go after the EX, and I am forced to find another rare candy piece. But no, I just take the single prize out, and we'll see how Ben did from the Iono. It has Jet Energy, Double Research, and Ultra Ball. So pretty good, I'd say. And you can see that I'm smiling, worried that if he's getting rid of an Ultra Ball and a Jet, his hand is cracked. And that definitely is the case. Ben's going to preload a Double Turbo and a Single Strike Energy. And then it's going to use their second Archeops for Double Turbo. And is then going to research. Interesting. So does Ben have a way to KO here? Does go for the Cragalanche by the looks of things. Is that KO? It should just be 60, right? With the... Because I'm only weak to metal. I actually don't think that's a KO. Huh. Well, here we are. I feel like the Double Turbo and the Single Strike actually counter each other out, so looks like we weren't paying much attention to what was going on. But here we are, I suppose. I don't know what Ben does if he can't take that knockout. I feel like he should have attached the Jet and just got a hit in with Speedwing there as his single prize attacker. And even just get T-Tar out on the bench. Oh no, he wouldn't have, with the Ultra Ball, he wouldn't have been able to find the T-Tar, but he could have just gone like Jet Energy active research and then just power up a Speedwing and get the response KO with a one prizer. We're able to Iono here back though. Put Ben down to 2 cards. And again, for me, it's just kind of like dodging those urns and dodging the next attacker, essentially, as we're powering up the Zacian ready to go. I'm just going to pre-damage myself enough. Yeah, and I think if Ben had Speed-Winged last turn and Speed-Winged again this turn, I have 1/4... I guess I wouldn't have to have this much damage on me, so it wouldn't be able to do it. He'd still have to find a T-Tar on this turn with the Iono. So we're actually like kind of in the same position. It's just that I next turn would have to find a boss for the fish rather than just be able to knock out anything in the active position at this stage. So even though it feels quite different, it's actually not too different, hopefully. If it hasn't already been said, we possibly weren't playing optimally in all of these games. We do see the urn, and they're gonna be straight away reattached to the Archeops here. There are quite a few distractions going on this weekend. There was a lot of us there, party atmosphere, watching the NEIC. So excuse any mistakes that happen, either now or during the commentary. Looks like Ben, best he can do is boss to try and stall, and I do have energy. And I imagine with my hand size and deck size, I'd probably find boss anyway, so if Ben did go for the Jet Energy Speedwing respond on the Shining Arcana Guardi to go down to those 2 prize cards, and then research, maybe he could have preloaded the T-Tar a little bit more, and maybe off Iono he hits that urn and still closes out the game. But with a Speedwing, with an Archeops in the active, maybe I could find some other attacker to weave in as well, and keep on those more awkward prize cards. So a few ifs and buts there, but we progress because there's no going back now. This was recorded a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, looks like I'm carrying on to the winner's side and the Lugia single strike is going on to the loser's bracket.